think I can do the whole show on it.
Sure.
On Porzingis specifically.
Yeah. And we are live. Welcome to MLB Early, live before lock. It is Thursday, June 22nd. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Adam Scherer. We're brought to you by Sleeper. 5-game early slate for us today. Love day baseball. Really makes the day move a little bit better. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter. Our handles are below our bodies. Adam, are you excited to have Tyus Jones?
I mean, sure. I said it to you before the show. So I ended up hating the trade because, but it was mostly because of what Boston ended up getting. It didn't actually have to do with the Wizards. Like the Wizards, we thought had traded Porzingis for the 30th overall pick, and it was just like whatever. Like I wish they could have gotten more, but they didn't. What is what it is. Yeah. They ended up getting Tyus Jones on the 35th pick, so really a better return than was reported for the Clippers. But then when we saw that Boston was getting 2 first-round picks plus Porzingis, that just ruined the trade for me because that just really pissed me off.
Yeah, I don't normally see trades like this, but I like it for all 3 teams. I think Boston got obviously 2 nice draft assets and the better player. I think Marcus Smart fits really well for the Grizzlies and is an improvement over Tyus Jones. Like to me, both of those things work out perfectly. And the Wizards just getting anything in general for this is great. Like, they're going in a different direction. I would have thought they could have gotten like an additional draft asset in some way, but even still, like Tyus Jones is good. They can very easily flip him at the deadline. And I don't think that would be much of an issue at all. Probably could get a first or potentially get at least like a lottery protected first later. So whatever they want to do there, like he's a legitimate good pseudo starter, best backup in the league point guard. Like I like it across the board.
Yeah. Like I definitely like it for Boston. I definitely like it for Memphis. And again, I would have liked it for Washington if they didn't somehow give up the best player and then also get the worst picks.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, for Washington, it's just like, they're basically like just doing them a solid. If they wanted to keep Porzingis for a year or whatever, fine. But the return definitely got better once it stopped being the Clippers deal. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Fun stuff, man. Hey, and for anybody that cares, since we're starting this one off with a little NBA talk, I'm going live for the draft tonight, probably around 7:45. Although if anything crazy starts happening in that like 7:15 to 7:45 range, I'll probably just hop on immediately to start talking about it. But I'll be on for the draft and for, I don't know, probably like the first 10 picks or so until like news stops being really interesting. And then I'll probably get away from it. But yeah, live for the draft.
I want the Wizards to take?
No idea. Whoever falls, I guess.
I just don't want them to be European. Like, please be American.
Yeah, it's rude, dude. You don't want any Europeans because they lead teams to championships?
Well, I mean, you can get that in the second round.
That's fair. Yes, you can. All you got to do is draft the next Jokic in the second round, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that pick 35 could come in huge.
There you go. You ready to talk some baseball?
Yeah, finishing up lineups now.
Hey, we both had a couple in the top 100 yesterday. Not enough to matter, but you did get to 9th. So
yeah, one of us was in the top 10.
Fair enough. Still got brutalized, but it's whatever. I
came out ahead on that slate, but not enough to make up for the early slate.
I was bad, very bad on both in terms of return. In terms of like 1% lineups, I don't hate it too much. But like the amount of Seattle that I had last night, I'll take 2 lineups there. If Seattle just scores like 5 or 6 runs, which isn't necessarily like a massive game, it probably dramatically changes the way that my day looked. But like I couldn't have missed much more on a stack.
Yeah, I mean, if the teams I stacked had scored more runs, I'd have done better.
You know what I mean, though? Like to have any other bullets after like basically crossing off so many of my lineups, I'll take that on that kind of day.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting at my computer last night doing this. So my team that finished in 9th had 0 from Leotis Taveras. And so, of course, I just start scrolling back through his game logs. And it's like, and I was like 9 points out of first. I'm like, oh, cool. He had more than 9 points in 50% of his last 10 games. Like, good to know he took this one off.
You ready to talk some baseball?
Getting there. Fantasy Cruncher is freezing on me.
Well, that's okay. You got some time.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
got
as long as it
until
doesn't go
1.
full, like, loses everything.
Yeah. Phillies and Braves. Let's start it off. Phillies at home. Aaron Nola on the hill for the Phils, 4-run implied total. Bryce Elder going for Atlanta, 4.2-run implied total for Atlanta. I mean, this is a coin flip game in general. 10K for Nola, 44% owned. Meanwhile, 9,700 for Elder, 10% owned. I'm going to preface another part of this by saying the Braves, out of the 10 teams that are on this slate, are last in projected ownership. So I'm going to give you what I've got, and then I'm going to let you go with it. I basically don't have Aaron Nola. I am going to the Atlanta Braves. What do you want to do here? Because this is a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I'll have an answer for what I'm actually doing in, I don't know, by the end of the show. But sure, both sides are really interesting here. Like Nola, you don't have a ton of good pitching on this slate. You do have plenty of competent arms, though. Tough matchup for him against Atlanta. He is up to 10K. And like you said, the big thing is that he's going to be rostered by nearly half the field in a tough matchup against Atlanta. Obviously, things can go really poorly, but he does still also have a 1 in 3 chance of being a top 2 scoring pitcher. And on a 5-game slate, if he does that, it's probably going to be pretty important you have him. As long as it's not in the sense where like every pitcher sucked and he's top 2 with like 12, then you probably don't need it. But clearly the ceiling is there for him, but also the matchup's really difficult. Like you said, Atlanta getting the least amount of ownership. They're middle of the pack in top stack percentage at 9%. Not cheap, less than 1% chance of being the top value stack. So not sure which way I end up going. Perfectly happy with either. I do like the fact that Atlanta is getting such little ownership.
Yeah, this is going to be a spot where I'm getting quite a bit over the field. Do I like being so light on Nola? No, but like there's going to become some chalk on a slate like this size, whether that's chalky pitching or chalky stacks. Like you're getting away from some chalk somewhere. You can't, you're not going to have it all, or at least you probably shouldn't. I'm willing to go to the Braves and hope that they can touch up Nola a little bit here. There's so much upside, so much power for Atlanta. So that's going to get fun. And not to say that I don't think that Nola is good. Like we had him 33% top 2 pitcher. I had him 35%. Like he looks great on paper, but we do have Blake Snell. We do have Joe Ryan as other pay up options. We'll talk about those guys in a bit. How do you feel about Elder? 9,700. That price tag just feels wildly incorrect here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really tough price tag to get to. He's not a bad pitcher. He's good at preventing runs, but not a great strikeout pitcher. Doesn't have an easy matchup against Philly by any stretch. And so, yeah, it's tough to justify the salary. You've had some matchups for him recently where he's been overpriced for his strikeout stuff, but he's had good matchups, and his ability to prevent runs has a 3.68 xFIP, has made up for the lack of strikeout stuff in those good spots, but it's harder to do that against Philadelphia. 9% ownership. I mean, on a 5-game slate, I think if you're playing Elder, that's the appeal, is that you're just getting an Aaron Nola pivot that's a lot lower owned. Doesn't project as well, but still certainly is going to beat him a fairly high percentage of the time.
Which team do you prefer for bats?
Probably Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little bit higher on the Atlanta like top stack odds too, just in general. I mean, let's talk it through. 14% ownership going to Acuna. Next highest is 7% to Ozzy Albies. Like you can buy a lot of really high quality bats today at no ownership, which you don't normally see on a 5-game slate for a team of this ilk.
Yeah, at least as of right now. Always the chance that 5 minutes into the slate, you're just like, shit, I played like Atlanta at 3 times the ownership I expected because everybody had the same idea.
Yeah, that's true. What stands out to you from Atlanta if you're looking at any individual bats?
The usual. I mean, in a matchup with Nola, I don't think you can really look at it and say, oh, I really like this guy because Nola struggles with this. Like Nola's a really good pitcher, and if Nola has his best stuff, he's probably going to shut down Atlanta. But so I typically view these spots as you're going with the assumption that Nola just has his, B game or C game. And in that case, you just see Acuna, Riley, Olsen get pushed up. This is a weird lineup. Albies hitting second, Olsen hitting fifth, Ozuna hitting fourth. I don't totally get the lineup. It is a weaker lineup than usual too. You don't have Sean Murphy in there, but yeah, I mean Acuna is clearly going to be at the top.
Sure is. Sure is. What about the Phillies side? Because we've got Elder here, the righty. We've got, a great power park. So guys like Schwarber, guys like Bryce Harper, both looking really nice on the other side. Only 9% or only 7% aggregate ownership coming into the Phillies. That's ninth. Like, what am I missing here for the Philadelphia side of this one? Other than just like having a lot of outfielders at the top, I think they're probably a little underrepresented as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of similar to the spot with Nola. Not that Elder's as good a pitcher, but there's no real weakness that you can find in Elder splits. 20.6% K percentage to righties, 20.8 to lefties, 149 expected ISO to lefties, or 125 to righties, 305 expected WOBA to righties, 315 to lefties. So you're basically going to just be targeting the best Philadelphia hitters first. Also, you will still lean towards preferring lefties just because most right-handed pitchers are going to struggle more with lefties over time, but it's kind of the same thing. There's no glaring weakness here for Elder, but Schwarber, Harper, both obviously look good. Turner, Castellanos, Realmuto, no issues with any of those guys. Wow. Interesting game. It's just one of those games where like the median projections on everything are going to be lower because everybody's in a pretty difficult matchup, but that doesn't mean that there isn't really high ceiling still, because the game isn't just always going to be 5-4, 4-3. Like you're still going to get plenty of times that Atlanta goes off, or Nola has a great game, or Elder has a great game, or Phillies go off. Like the range of outcomes is still really wide on a game like this.
Rank the game.
Nola, Braves, Phillies, Elder.
Yeah,
but I
just wish that Elder was like 8,300 or something like that, where you could actually. I don't want to say you can actually play him, because like it's a 5-game slate. You can actually play him right now, but he would be functional at a slightly lower price tag and really mess up that bat. Like, so we have this giant chunk of ownership coming into Nola at 10K, and then this giant chunk of ownership coming into Logan Allen at 7,900. If you can bring Elder down to offset both of those guys, I think it would really create this weird spot in between.
Yeah. And I'm really interested to come back to this game once I have my lineups figured out, because this to me is a really, really appealing tournament game. But I really have no idea what direction I'm personally going to end up going.
Yeah. As of right now, I've got a boatload of the Braves, and not too mad about that one. That's for sure.
I mean, I figured you would. You play them when they're 80% owned. You may as well play them today.
Fantastic. Appreciate you there. Let's see. Let me rerun my tier sim so I could just say whoever the top team guys are here for Ace of Spades. There's nothing worse. Love you, Ace of Spades, but there is nothing worse than talking about tiers. It's just who projects well in each tier. All right, I've got my updated tier stuff. So Ace of Spades, let's hit the tiers conversation. Based on what I have right now, top play in tier 1 is very clearly Acuna. I've got him well ahead of Harper, Olsen, and Trey Turner. I've got Corbin Carroll as the top play in tier 2. Fernando Tatis would be a close second. Starts to flatten out in tier 3. That's probably going to be Jose Ramirez or Rafael Devers. Tier 4, one of the Diamondbacks, either Ketel Marte or Christian Walker, which pairs well with Corbin Carroll in tier 2. Tier 5, it's either Carlos Correa or Lane Thomas. I don't think that I would go any other directions. And then once again, tier 6, we're grabbing a Diamondback, either Perdomo or Gurriel. I assume you don't have any tiers thoughts.
I do not.
You'll just take my sim for and
I mean, normally when I answer that, I pull it up and go through the tiers. But if you've already run all the stuff, then there's no reason to do that.
All righty. Well, hit the like button. We've got 455 people in the door, 58 likes. We should be able to get up over that 100 mark. No problem. We got a bunch of shows coming up today. So Rare MLB show coming up after this at 1 p.m. We've got MLB Live Before Lock later tonight, 5:45, 3-game main slate, or night slate, I guess we're calling it. So we have only one show tonight, but you will get another hour. and then my live NBA draft show, likely starting at 7:45, maybe a little bit earlier. Just sticking around, very casual, chopping it up about the NBA. Because anytime that I can talk NBA, I want to do that. So I'm going to do that. It's fun.
First glance at my lineups, I actually think I might not have a lot of the offense here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm putting it back into FC now to double check, but I didn't notice a lot of names from this game.
Okay. Did you do a Sims video today?
No, I'll do it for the night slate.
Okay. Keep your eyes peeled for that. We've got the new MLB Sims tool out. Adam's doing a Sims video every single day. This one will cover the main slate. This is the future of DFS, at least in some form. It's $180 a month. I know that sounds like a pretty sizable number. We're not running any trials or anything like that. You kind of just got to dive in with us on that one. Link is in the description, but basically you're uploading up to 2,000 lineups. We are simulating the slate and providing ROI data on the lineups, the stacks, the individual players. This is going to create a much better product of lineups that you're going to end up entering into a contest. It's sort of like when you're able to get under the hood of our lineup generator. The lineup generator is handling a lot of this work on the back end, and we're just showing you the lineup, not as much of the detail. The MLB Sims tool, you're getting all of the detail. I hope you guys check it out. I hope you guys check out all of the content that we're doing. Greg puts out a sim video. We have content on the Stochastic DFS channel as well. Adam's video Monday through Friday. Plenty of Sims content for you.
Okay, so this is interesting.
Okay, hit me.
I'm slightly under the field on Nola, like 38%. In terms of 5-man stacks, I have 6% Philly, 2% Atlanta. So out of 50 lineups, 3 Philly stacks, 1 Atlanta stack. But looking at my 2-player stacks, Philly is my most used 2-player stack, and Atlanta is my second most used 2-player stack. So I do think that makes some sense. Acuna is my highest owned hitter, even though I'm not full stacking Atlanta a lot. Turner is my third highest owned hitter. Schwarber is up there. So I do think it's interesting, and I don't mind that approach. Just, 2 good pitchers in lineups where you don't have them, trying to grab a home run or 2, but not necessarily full stacking against them.
I like it. No complaints there. That all makes sense to me. You want to go on to game number 2? This is the one we got to talk about.
Yep.
The Nationals, 4.1 run implied total, Jake Irvin on the hill. 5.2 run implied total for the Diamondbacks. Tommy Henry going for Arizona. Irvin unowned at 5,500, and he should not be owned. Tommy Henry 16% owned at 6,200. I've got a little bit of interest in Henry right now, just as the value option to get. What do you want to do with Henry? Let's start there.
Yeah, I'm getting him in around a quarter of my lineups, which sucks. I hate it, but he's cheap at 6,200. He is facing the Nats. They do have plenty of solid enough right-handed bats against him, but overall still not a very good offense. 4.3 implied run total. I don't have a lot of confidence in him. He's not a good pitcher. 15.5% strikeout percentage this year, 5.39 xFIP, but is what it is. There's 10 pitchers total on the slate. So I am getting close to double the field on Henry, which doesn't sound fun, but I get why it's happening.
Yeah, I've got double the field as well. I don't mind it. I don't love it in this park, but it's, the Nats bats as a whole aren't very good here. So it's just going to, you end up playing some things on 5-game slates that don't necessarily look great. You don't have much of a choice. So I'm going to do that. I can't imagine you're getting Jake Irvin with any sort of volume.
I think I got him in one lineup.
Yeah. Like if you're going to play Jake Irvin, you're probably just going to play Tommy Henry. But
yeah.
Is there any scenario?
He's $700 less, but I mean, much, much worse matchup. He's just as bad a pitcher. 16% K percentage this year, 5.87 xFIP. You could really make the case he's a worse pitcher. 13% walk percentage.
Is there any scenario where the Diamondbacks aren't the clear top stack today, just ignoring ownership for now?
I don't think so. Worst pitcher on the slate, good offense. I mean, it's not like this isn't even like, taking the Guardians against a bad pitcher where it's like, well, these guys suck, but hopefully the pitcher's worse. Diamondbacks are good. They have power. They have speed. They're not overly expensive. The bottom 4 hitters in this lineup are all sub 3K on DraftKings, so you get the value component there. Perdomo's only 4K leading off. As far as hitting goes, Perdomo's not great. I think he's been fine this year, but doesn't project to be good for much longer. But still leading off on a team with a 5.2 implied run total at 4K. And then you get, Marte, Carroll, Walker in the middle that are obviously guys you're excited to get to.
I mean, this whole entire lineup just looks fantastic for today. And like, they're not even all that difficult to get to. Like, Carroll is worth this price tag, especially lefty righty in this park. How do you want to handle them? Because they're very clearly the highest owned stack. Do you expect to be just jamming them? Is this a spot where it's just like, okay, I got to hope they suck?
They're coming in third for me. So
okay,
probably a little under the field, I guess. But
okay.
Yeah. Individually, let's see. I think I'm getting like 10% Marte. I'm pulling the individual player ownership up now to see how far below the field I am. But Ketel Marte is projected for 20% ownership. I have 10%. Looking at the outfielders, I have 16% Carroll, 8% Gurriel, 8% Thomas. Carroll's projected for 28%. Thomas is at 11. Gurriel's at 12. So yeah, I'm getting around half the field on most of Arizona, it seems.
Okay. You shouldn't have to ask where I'm at.
I assume you're jamming them.
I do have quite a bit of the Arizona Diamondbacks today. We'll see where we end up once we get to 1:00, but I find them to be difficult to avoid. However, I do have a little bit of interest in Washington on the opposite side here. It's not like I think Tommy Henry is any good. The Nats are basically free. The park is fantastic. 4.1 run implied total. That is decent enough for a team that I don't think is all that talented. They are 5th in aggregate ownership, but I am getting to 5-man Nat stacks as well. I like this spot, and I think they're pretty easy to stack up just positionally too.
Yeah, they're not really showing up for me. But I don't hate it. Like you said, Tommy Henry's not good. He is going to get some ownership too, which adds some, extra merit to going to Washington. In terms of mini stacks, not getting there either. So I have a couple Nats, 5-man Nat stacks, but nothing that really stands out from an individual hitter standpoint. Lane Thomas is showing up like 8%. Yeah, I don't really have much of the Nats.
Okay. I got my second most exposed Nat, my boy, Candelario, $3,500 third baseman, 9% owned. I just like getting to this game from an offense standpoint just because of the park. The park factors are great here for power. And on a 5-game slate, you get 2 or 3 solo dongs, and that stack is immediately a real problem for the day. Rank this game. I think 2-3 is tough.
In terms of what I'm doing or in terms of what somebody watching should do?
Both.
I mean, so in terms of just like the best parts of the game, I think it's Arizona, Washington, Henry, Irvin. In terms of what I'm doing, apparently it is Henry, Arizona, Washington, Irvin.
All right. Irvin being last and Diamondbacks bats are like the two very clearly on paper, ignoring ownership. You cannot put anything else in either spot. That the Nats bats and Henry is an interesting dynamic. Yeah. I kind of like getting to both sides of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset if I had more Washington than I do.
Anything else here in this game?
No.
Guardians and A's. 4.3 run implied total for the Guardians, 3.4 for the A's. Logan Allen and JP Sears. 45% ownership coming into Allen at 7,900. 11% ownership coming into JP Sears at 6,800. What do you want to do here with Allen? I am much higher on Logan Allen than we are, but it's not like we're not. 30% top 2 pitcher, 30% top 2 value. Like that means that you're getting a little bit of both.
Yeah, he's my highest owned pitcher. I have like 56%. So coming in a bit over the field. Good pitcher so far in his rookie year. Former Orioles draft pick who did not sign. I found out recently. But solid rookie year so far, striking out 22% of hitters, 4.17 xFIP. And now you're getting the A's 3.2 implied run total in a solid park for pitching, 70-degree weather. Nothing that is alarming, offensively here. So, he looks really good. He's also only 7,900. So that's good as well.
Certainly is. Yeah, I have him the latest in my pseudo lock buttons, 83% Logan Allen here. So for those of you that have been watching the shows over the past couple of days, although The dude from the Reds.
Abbott came through.
Yeah, he certainly did. So I feel a little bit better there. Things were going well for Darvish last night, then until they weren't.
Yeah, I actually thought I was going to have a different team in the top 10 last night because my team that finished in, I think, like 32nd had Darvish and Ohtani. And so that one had like caught my team that ended up at 9th, and then it went the other direction.
All right. JP Sears on the other side, 11% owned, 6,800. Is there anything here for you against Cleveland in this spot?
So the strikeout stuff for Sears is good. He's only $6,800. He's only getting 10% ownership. We have him going a bit under owned here. I wouldn't hate the idea of playing him over Tommy Henry. I'm not getting there though, in part because I'm getting to a lot of Cleveland bats, which I'm not super excited about, but you can certainly make the case for Sears. He has allowed a 249 expected ISO to righties this year, 341 expected WOBA. Those numbers obviously aren't very good, but he has struck out 25.5% of the right-handed hitters he's faced. Obviously, this lineup is tough to strike out, but he's not like he at least gives you strikeout upside at a cheap price tag. He's a much better strikeout pitcher than Tommy Henry is. Identical implied run totals for Cleveland and Washington. So I think there's a pretty good case to be made for getting to Sears if you're not getting to Cleveland bats.
I don't really have any right now, but I wouldn't mind picking up a little bit more in this spot. I don't see him as like a problem. I'm kind of just getting all of the Logan Allen and most of the Tommy Henry. So I'm just like out of guys to
basically. So like I said, I'm like 2x the field on Henry and I'm playing a lot of Cleveland bats. If I had run everything and I was playing a bunch of like, if Washington was my second highest owned stack and I was 2x the field on JP Sears, I would be just as uncomfortable as I am with Cleveland and Henry.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's talk Cleveland bats, I guess. 3rd in ownership. They're 4th in top stack, 5th in top value. Obviously, Jose Ramirez stands out at 5,400. I'm like mostly indifferent on Cleveland. I'm a little bit under the field at this point. I've got some respect for Sears. The 4.3 run implied total in this park isn't great for like today in general and for the middle of the summer for this park. Do you see yourself getting to Cleveland?
Yeah, they're my second highest owned stack right now. The one interesting thing is that, so like normally when you get a team as they're tied for the highest owned stack. When you get a team like that, normally when you look at your individual hitter exposures, it's going to be, Cleveland bats at the top, and it's not. This is a really weird slate where like I'm getting to Cleveland bats, obviously, but like I already mentioned, Acuna is my highest owned hitter, even though I'm not stacking Atlanta. Machado second. I am stacking the Padres. Turner is 3rd, even though I'm not stacking Philly. Then I get to Ahmed Rosario, Andres Jimenez. Ramirez only showing up like 14% for me. So it kind of seems like Cleveland is just serving as really a value stack here. Like it's not that Cleveland bats look great or that they're showing up as like great hitting plays for me. I think it's more so that by stacking Cleveland, I'm able to get to the one-offs that I want and these really high upside mini stacks. So kind of interesting and setting up differently than most slates do. But yeah, I mean, Rosario showing up 20% for me, Jimenez 20%, Straw is showing up just because he's cheap. I'm sure Ramirez is probably the best play here. It's normally the case. The value on Rosario, I think, is pretty appealing at 3,600. But it's a team where there's not a lot I can say in terms of like why they would look good. They suck at hitting. The park isn't ideal. The weather's not great for hitting. But Sears does give up a lot of power to righties, and they do allow me to have really good teams around them. I just pulled up my Cleveland stacks just to sort of see what they look like. The first one that came up, Snell, Henry, 5-man Cleveland stack, 2-man Braves with Acuna, Riley, and then a Yoshida one-off. Obviously that's good. Joe Ryan and Logan Allen with Gary Sanchez, Manny Machado, 2-man stack.
Okay.
Allen, Nola with Sanchez, Bogarts, Devers as the non-Cleveland players. So that really just seems to be the direction it's going, is like, hey, take the value here, hope that they score like 5 runs, and then hope that, your one-offs just hit home runs.
Yeah, I only have five mans of Cleveland, but when I look at them, it's just like, oh, it's Logan Allen, it's Blake Snell, and it's Albies, Acuna, Ozuna. Right. Awesome. Like that'll work. Harris, Ozuna, Kettle Marte. Acuna, Kettle Marte, Xander Bogarts. 3-man Diamondback stack. Marte, Carroll, Thomas. Like if you're going to the Guardians, you're getting whatever the hell you want for your 2 pitching spots and your other 3 hitters. Like it's going to look really good otherwise.
Right. Yeah, like most of mine, like I was saying, it's really strong 2-mans or 3-mans. I have one here that I'm looking at where it is Snell Nola. So the one-off run is strong, but it's still, Tristan Casas, Jarren Duran, Esteury Ruiz. They're solid value one-offs. But I went pitching and didn't get the best bats. But I think it's more Cleveland is just a means to an end than a spot that you're actually like feeling good about.
Yeah, like I have the Nats in your Cleveland spot.
Right. Which, like I said before, perfectly fine. If I had 25% JP Sears, 6% Tommy Henry, 20% Nat stacks, and 5% Cleveland stacks, I would feel just as good / bad as I do right now.
And it's the same situation. Blake Snell, Logan Allen, 3-man stack with Matt Olson, Kettle Marte, in this case, Arcia, but, another part of the Braves stack, which is, to me looks good. A Tatis, Ronald Acuna, Christian Walker, like same situation on the opposite side. What do you want to do with Oakland here against Logan Allen? I assume you're going to be like me and not have a ton of it, but it's mostly because of Logan Allen. I wouldn't necessarily care if I got to Oakland. They're the ultimate free team.
Right. They're really cheap too. But for once, I'm actually not getting to the A's, which feels good. I have a couple full A stacks. My highest owned A's hitter is Esteury Ruiz at 8%, Brent Rooker at 6%. Yeah. I mean, they're really cheap, but they do have one of the more difficult matchups.
Sure do. And not only that they have one of the more difficult matchups, but like if I've got 83% Logan Allen, I certainly don't have a shit ton of the Oakland A's. I'm just out of lineups to put these dudes in, and I don't need that much overlap on a 5-game slate. So Oakland is the team that I'm going to have the least amount of. If you want to roster 4 to 5 Oakland A's bats, congratulations. Every other spot in your lineup is going to be awesome. $3,300 Ruiz. Next most expensive person is Rooker at $2,900. This whole team is basically free. They've got 3 dudes in the starting lineup at $2K flat, another one at $2,200. You're just not going to fail at rostering the Oakland A's today, at least from a salary perspective. Rank this game.
Allen, Cleveland, Sears, Oakland.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. Is 1-2 trying to say that I'm going to curse this stuff?
Yeah, and to be fair, you normally do. But the plus side here is that Josh is on the same pitcher as me, which means that actual quality data backs it up as opposed to his shitty projections. So he might have actually, just sort of blind squirrel nutted this one.
I did not nut on a blind squirrel or whatever you're trying to tell me that I just did. It's ridiculous. Especially a blind one, no less. I mean, how rude would that be?
You discriminate against squirrels, man. That's messed up.
That's just like, how did you even land on something like that? I don't want to know about your kinks. Oh, man. I get there must be a lot of blind animals, right?
It's probably you would assume it's like the same percentage as non-accident humans, right?
Yeah. Just like naturally blind.
And I mean, there's accidents in nature too. I'm sure, you're messing around with your squirrel friend and just catch a limb in the eye.
I assume you just die really quickly.
Yeah, I don't know what they're. You would think that they should be built to withstand running into shit, getting injured. It happens.
No, what I mean is if a baby deer is born blind,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you don't have.
You're gonna get eat. You're just.
Yeah, you don't have the same systems in place to kind of guide you through life.
But you can't even run away. If you're a deer in the forest and you're blind and you feel like a predator's coming, right? I mean, good luck.
Right.
Yeah, natural selection would eliminate all of them. Yeah, you're not going to make it too far. Yeah, look, I'm not confused by it, guys. I expect blind animals to be in deep shit. Yeah, use your other senses. Yeah, I'm sure that'll go well. All right. Hit the like button, folks. We're almost up over 100, 540 people in here. We got to talk a little bit about Sleeper. They are the sponsor of this show. Very easy for me to talk about. One, if you click the link in the description and sign up at Sleeper, you'll get up to $100 on your first deposit. You got to deposit at least 20 in the deal. Put in 100, get 100. You can get up to 100x payouts. It's the highest you'll see in any of these types of sites, any of these pick'em sites. The big thing that they have, dynamic payouts. Normally at the pick'em sites, you're getting even action on both sides. It's, over 20 fantasy points, under 20 fantasy points. It's the same on both ends. Well, now at Sleeper, you can have a very different dynamic. You can get 3x or 4x or 5x on an over if that's sort of the way that line looks. That completely changes the way that you could put together a pick'em card. We can help you out a little bit more too by using the Odd Shop or Pick'em package or Bet Pro. We have data on the Pick'em sites where we can give you a little bit of extra help. You can sign up for those through the links in the description as well. But for right now, Sleeper is the play, folks. You get the dynamic payouts, you get the deposit bonus, you get some additional help around the stochastic streets. Please go sign up at Sleeper. I'm very happy to have these guys as a sponsor, because I'm not in a legal betting state. A lot of this stuff I can't do. And being able to get those dynamic payouts really helps me to get a feel for the sports betting side of it all and gets me ready for whenever North Carolina officially becomes legal. 2 more games to go. Do we get lineups by any chance?
Not that I've seen, which sucks because I have a lot of these. I have a lot of the last game.
I don't. At least I don't think I do. Yeah, I don't. So
I just went ahead and maxed the DraftKings tournament, and I'd been looking at it because I'm obviously talking about the slate. I just want to play more, and so I'd been looking at it, and I was just like, you have a lot of Padres, you have a lot of Giants. It's going to be a huge pain in the ass to swap 150 lineups when these lineups come out, and then I clicked it anyway. So.
Well, let's go to the Twins and the Red Sox. 4.8 run implied total for the Twins. Joe Ryan on the hill. 4 run implied total for the Red Sox. Brandon Walter on the hill. Flat 4K. I thought that he could have ended up being mildly interesting today, but there's too many free hitting teams for you to really need a 4K Brandon Walter. And there's a lot of power on the Minnesota side, particularly from the right side. What do you want to do with Joe Ryan, though? 11K, most expensive pitcher, 27% owned. Ew.
Yeah. So I'm updating my lineups now, but in the first 50, I had 18%, so wasn't getting quite as much as the field. Not a great matchup against Boston. 4 run implied total. Relatively low for them, but still a pretty dangerous lineup here. Ryan is good, but 11K is a healthy price tag. Not allowing really any power this year. Sub 100 expected ISO to lefties, 145 to righties. He is striking out 32% of righties compared to 21% of lefties. Red Sox running out 4 left-handed hitters, but they're all in the top 6. So top part of the lineup probably going to skew a little bit, sort of, I guess, negative for Ryan strikeouts, but overall in a perfectly fine spot. It really is just the price tag, I think, is a little difficult to get to.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit less than the field. I'm getting to all of the Blake Snell. I got a sneaky suspicion you're going to tell me you're getting Snell as well. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, I wish we could somehow access that 4K Brandon Walter. It's just so unnecessary.
Yeah, I wasn't getting much. I'm updating now to see where I'm at, but in the first 50, I had 10%.
Okay. Yeah, I had 1 lineup of Walter. Just never getting down to that range, really. Oh, God, I really do not enjoy how much Diamondbacks I have, but whatever. Let's talk Twins. They are quite chalky. Second in ownership behind the Diamondbacks. They do have the second highest implied total. 3rd in top stack, 3rd in top value. This is probably my biggest fade. I am not really getting to the Minnesota Twins today. It had to happen somewhere. I'm a little nervous about it, but at least it's righty power in Minnesota, which is played down a little bit against the lefty Walter. Are you getting to Minnesota?
Not sure yet. They're now my second highest owned stack. So okay. Cleveland is down to 4th for me. Didn't move too far, but I did percentage wise lose a little bit of Cleveland by adding lineups. Have about 15% Minnesota stacks. Correa and Buxton, my 2 highest owned Minnesota hitters, which obviously I'm perfectly fine with. Jeffers coming in 3rd. Yeah, it's it's a solid spot. 5-run implied run total against two unknown pitchers, basically. There's power in this lineup. They're pretty cheap. Buxton is $5K on DraftKings. The next most expensive guy is Correa. After that, it's $3,400 Royce Lewis. So another really, really cheap team that does have power upside. Happy to get to them. In terms of stack score, we have them second behind Arizona. Slightly higher top value percentage, lower top stack percentage. So perfectly happy to get to them.
Yeah, this is the one that I have to avoid. This is the team that I'm basically not getting to that is getting a ton of ownership. So in lieu of having the Twins, I basically just have more of the Diamondbacks. So if the Twins go well today, that's going to go poorly for good old Josh. So if you like 13%, Minnesota,
13% Walter now too.
Okay, interesting. I'm really surprised to see that. I wouldn't have thought that you needed to get down that far.
I wonder what those lineups look like. I'm hoping that they're not just leaving thousands of dollars on the table.
Could they?
Some of them are. So I just pulled them up. The first one that shows up is 5-man Atlanta with Jimenez, Rosario, Duran, Allen, and Walter. Next one leaves 2K on the table. 5-man San Francisco stack, 2-man Philly.
You cool with 2K?
What'd you say?
You cool with 2K?
Yeah, there's nowhere really for it to go. Logan Allen could only turn into Bryce Elder. You can't get to one of the other pitchers. The one-offs are Gary Sanchez, Trey Turner, and Bryce Harper. The one spot that I probably would or will change is that we don't have the Giants lineup yet, obviously, but the two outfielders from the Giants that lineup has are Austin Slater and Luis Matos. Depending on what the lineup is, might be able to turn it into a different outfielder, but like the more expensive Giants outfielders are lefties anyway, so I don't really want to necessarily get to them. Leaving 1,400 with a 5-man Padres stack, Josh Bell, Miles Straw, Estrada. Like I should probably just manually upgrade Miles Straw on that one to somebody.
What do you want to do with Red Sox bats here against Joe Ryan? They are 6th in ownership, 5th in top stack, 6th in top value. They're sort of just like a middle of the pack team for today's slate. Everybody's basically 8% owned or 9% owned. It's very flat ownership across the board. I got a couple of these Red Sox guys. I'm a little bit over the field. I do have some 5-mans here. I don't like targeting Joe Ryan, but if I can get Yoshida and Devers in this spot against the righty, like I don't mind picking off a couple of these spots here for Boston.
Yeah, that's how it's showing up for me as well. We have them projected for 8.5% aggregate ownership. I have 10% 5-man Boston stacks. Jarren Duran's projected to be the highest owned guy from the Sox at 10%. I have 12%. Devers is projected for 8%. I have 12%. So, slightly over the field, but not going too crazy on Boston.
Okay. Rank this.
13%. 13% Tristan Casas. He's projected for 8.
Okay. Yeah, I have 16 there, 16 of Yoshida, 18 of Devers. Like those are the guys that I want to get. So
right. Yeah, I have 9 Yoshida.
Okay. Yeah, one guy that I'm not really getting to is Justin Turner, and I'm okay with that. Rank the game.
Yeah, I'm not getting. I have like 5%. I think Minnesota, Ryan, Red Sox, or Walter.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about Walter specifically, but major league debut, 12 starts, 13 games at AAA this year, 61 2/3 innings pitched, 22% K percentage, 4.74 FIP, 4.61 xFIP. Rest of season projections, the bat has them with an 18% K percentage, 4.57 FIP. ATC has an 18.8% K percentage, 4.68 FIP. Just kind of looks like a guy, competent, but not somebody likely to come up and be. He's not one of these 4K guys where you're saying, oh, I don't care that I'm leaving a bunch of salary on the table constantly. He's that good. He's better than 4K.
Final game. We've got, what is Lockett, 105 or 110? 105. So we've got 18 minutes until lock, just in case anybody is nervous. We got plenty of time to get our stuff in. Giants and Padres going to be the final game. 3.8 run implied total for the Giants, 4.4 for the Padres. Alex Wood going for the Giants, Blake Snell going for the Pods. Snell, 34% owned at 10,100. Let's just start with Snell. How much are you getting?
29%.
Ooh, okay. Okay, but you have like 30 something NOLA.
Now I'm up to 43 Nola.
Okay. I've basically just chosen
Snell's
Snell.
What'd you say?
I basically just chose Snell for today.
Okay. Yeah. So I have 55% Allen, 43% Nola, 29% Snell.
Talk to me about Snell here against the Giants. Obviously a great park to avoid power.
Yeah, good park to avoid power. Still a good pitcher. He weirdly got a lot of hate this year. And he has been worse this year than last year, and especially early on in the year. But you're seeing things turn around for him. And we talk about this a lot. Yes, some pitchers do just fall off of a cliff, but typically, if a pitcher starts out a season slowly, they're just going to end up getting back to what they normally do. And that's what we're seeing with Snell. He now has a 29% K percentage, 3.82 xFIP so far this season. Pretty similar to what we've seen from him in the past. He walks too many guys. He does give up some power. We know that, but still a very high upside pitcher. And this slate doesn't have a lot in the way of pitching, at least in terms of guys that you're going to be confident in. Aaron Nola, tough matchup with the Braves. Bryce Elder, really expensive in a not great matchup. Joe Ryan, tough matchup with the Red Sox. So, yeah, Snell has flaws, but all of these guys do to some extent. So perfectly fine getting there. I'm around the field slightly under.
Yeah, I'm going for it today. I like the strikeout matchup. If the lineup that I have in is the lineup that ends up playing, that would be helpful. I just like that, the park can mildly save him a little bit, but I'm hoping that he can go out there and just hang one of those Blake Snell big time strikeout days. So Snell is the guy that I'm paying up for. That is my preference of the top three. I guess top four main pay up options. What do you want to do with Alex Wood, 6,600 on the opposite side? Can you go there against the Pods?
Yeah, I think he's decent. Only went 5 innings last start, 67 pitches. I assume he throws a little bit more here, but probably not going crazy deep into the game still. 6,600 is a reasonable price tag. The matchup's not great. 22% strikeout percentage for Wood, 4.82 xFIP so far this year. I'm getting around 7 to 8%. We have him projected for 8 to 9%. So pretty much in line with the field on that one.
Adam, do you like Justin Turner more today because he's been on a heater lately?
Obviously. That's why I'm still playing 5%.
Would you agree with me here? If he's on a heater right now, he's a worse play today because of the heater?
Simply because ownership goes up.
And salary.
Right, and salary.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'd rather know that he's over 20 than 19 for 20.
I mean, not really. 20. There is if you're 0 for 20, there's always the risk that you're battling injury or
ignoring the and we also found out that he fell going up the steps or something and tweaked his knee. But yeah, knowing that a guy is on a heater is some next level irrelevant information. And
for the millionth time before people start talking about it, yes, hot streaks exist. No, you don't know when they're actually happening.
Correct. Do you care that he's 2 for 6 in his career against Joe Ryan? Does that make you want to go any particular direction?
Oh man, I need to rerun everything.
Yeah. Woof. Talk bats in this game. Just go whichever direction you want to go. I don't have it, so I'm not going to be the guy to talk about it.
Yeah, Padres are my highest owned stack here. I hate that we don't have lineups here. My afternoon's probably going to be miserable now, but Padres are my highest owned stack. It's not that I think Wood is bad or anything, but 4.2 implied run total is perfectly fine on this slate. The only team with a notably higher run total, Arizona and Minnesota. You have a ton of talent for the Padres. That goes without saying. So yeah, it's just a high upside team that isn't getting a ton of ownership. We have them at 10% owned, compared to 15% for Minnesota, 17% for Arizona. More ownership coming into Cleveland. So not the same level of value, obviously, but just a lot of upside here in terms of individual bats. Fernando Tatis is now my highest owned hitter. Machado is second. Gary Sanchez is third. Bogarts is fifth. So no complaints with getting to those guys. Lefty for Juan Soto, getting around 10% of him. But those right-handed power bats against Wood are showing up a lot for me so far this year. Against righties, 181 expected ISO for Wood. If you go back to the start of last year, 179. So no real issues getting there. As far as the Giant side, this is the one that's really going to be annoying. They're my 5th highest owned stack right now, coming in around 10%. I don't mind it just because, Snell is capable of imploding and Snell is also getting ownership. The issue is that we have no idea what this Giants lineup is going to look like. Lamont Wade, I have in. I doubt that he plays, and I'm going to have to swap that, and it's going to really suck because the Giants probably won't even have a first baseman in their lineup. But you have that. You have Estrada missed yesterday's game. I assume he's going to be back today. Yastrzemski left yesterday's game early. It is lefty-lefty. You're probably getting Slater or Matos in there anyway. There is some pinch hit risk, especially with like Austin Slater. But, again, it is a pretty cheap team. It is a good offense overall. And, it's a slate where there's not a lot of great offenses.
I essentially don't have them. I have one share of Matos and no bit of the Giants. But again, I have a ton of Snell, so I'm not surprised. Padres are sort of a fade for me. You're lighter on the Diamondbacks. So like where the ownership is coming in for some of these other teams, you're making up for that by being lighter on Arizona, correct?
I have 14% Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like Arizona's my third highest owned team.
Okay. Man, this is a fun slate. I really wish this Giants-Padres game just either didn't start at 3:45 or wasn't a part of it. Like, I love the 1 o'clock starts, and then
I really wish I had paid more attention to the projected lineups I used, because I would have not put in Lamont Wade, and I wouldn't have 13 lineups looking at me that I know I'm going to have to manually adjust later.
Sounds so much fun. The problem here is that you're going to be manually adjusting them in just the Giants and Padres game, unless you get that in that 105 to 110 window, and you can really scramble as fast.
I'm debating if I
possible.
want to just get rid of my Lamont Wade lineups.
You do that, and Lamont Wade is going yard today.
Yeah.
All right, we've got couple minutes before we got to duck on out of here and turn it over to the So Rare MLB show. So let's just sum it up. Favorite pitchers for today?
Shit. I was trying to get rid of Wade. Allen, Nola, Snell.
Allen, Snell, Tommy Henry for me. That's the order in which I have them, but it's Allen and Snell on a completely different planet. I just happen to be over on Henry. Favorite stacks?
San Diego, Minnesota, Arizona.
It's going to be Arizona for me, obviously, as the top stack, and I'm just doubling up on them. The Braves are the team that I'm getting to that is different than the rest of the field. I have pretty sizable stands on the Nats and the Red Sox, big fades on the Padres and the Twins. Anything else you want to add for today's slate?
Lamont Wade said he's hoping to return to the starting lineup Thursday.
We'll find out what that means.
I don't know if that means, if that's just an athlete saying like, yeah, I would like to play tomorrow, or if that's actually in the plans, but it's enough of a quote that I'm going to just leave those lineups and he'll end up becoming Nelson Cruz, I guess.
There we go. Guys, thank you for joining us here. I want to make sure that the So Rare show can get off at the top of the hour. Thank you to Sleeper for being the sponsor. Thank you to Jordan Klein, producer extraordinaire behind the virtual glass. We're going to go sweat some baseball. I'm going to actually watch my Braves today. It's going to be a good one. Good luck, everybody. Go Atlanta. I'll talk to you later.